Hello, 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 and welcome, my friends. So today I'm going to be talking about some of the developments that have been going on at DOGE, in particular, the attempts to take them down, because DOGE has begun to cut parts of the American government, most notably US aid, but they've also been going into other departments like the Treasury and starting to actually look through the numbers, look at what people are doing, and say, well, are you actually worth the money that we're paying for? Do you do anything? You there at that desk, why are you asleep right now? Please get out of the building. And this, as you would imagine, has angered furious ideologues and journalists who may or may not have been accepting money from US aid and other parts of the US government, as we found out with Politico. That was very interesting, wasn't it? Learning that basically all of global leftism was a deep state plot funded by the US government to subvert nations. But that's neither here nor there. What people are mainly angry about, other than just losing their jobs or losing their funding, is that DOGE is, in particular, staffed by young men. And that's what this Wired article that came out was talking about. It was an attempt to dox, shame, scare these young men into abandoning their posts and leaving Musk without people to carry out the work that he's tasked them with. Because the engineers that he's employed average in age, at least in this group, between about 19 and 24. It's actually about 19 and 25. And of course, they see this youth, vibrancy, vitality as a terrible thing. They think it's terrible when young men get to do anything. If they were all wearing dresses, perhaps they would have a different opinion. But if they are young, straight men, particularly young, straight white men, this is awful, and they need to absolutely do everything that they can to destroy these people's future, destroy their careers, destroy their lives, because they are, of course, the side of tolerance and care, which is a lie that we've known about for years at this point. So they identify a bunch of these men, and they go through and name them one by one. So the first one they start off with is somebody called, let's see here, we've got a few people, apologies friends. Edward Correstein is the main one that we're going to be focusing on a little bit, and he is 19 years old, and he is in this new DOGE government department trying to cut things back, and he spent 3 months at Neuralink, and previously had been like a camp counselor. He'd also was part of the recent call to the small business department, I think it was, in the US government, to get them to send all of their finances over so that they could be checked and verified and see if all of the money is being spent properly, as we found out that the US government hasn't been spending much of its money properly or in any way that benefits the American people. I don't really need to go into the details of this, other than the fact there's also men like Gavin Kliger, who is an excellent troll that we'll talk about in a few minutes. But suffice to say, this is Edward Correstein. And people are very furious at the fact that this, as he has been dubbed the final boss of Zoomers, and look at this hair. Look at this hair. Doesn't have what they would think should be the requisite experience to be working in the government at all, let alone cutting back massive government waste. Personally, I would prefer it would be somebody like this, who may be a bit fresh, maybe a bit young, maybe a bit naive, untested, over somebody who is confirmed to be a creature of the swamp, corrupt, already bought by vested interests. Somebody like this, I would trust far more to be able to identify what exactly is going on in the government that shouldn't be going on, and to have the energy to say, no, we're going to stop. But what what the media has picked up on, as you can see here, one of his usernames online is Big Balls, which has caused a bit of frustration with these people that we'll get into in a moment. And they've been starting to get these little graphics down where they're trying to name and shame all of these people: Akash Bobber, Luke Farritor, Ethan Shoutron, Edward Correstein, and then two others, Gorthia Cole Killian and Gavin Kliger. And again, I look at this guy. This is just a magnificent Zoomer face right here. He looks like he's straight out of the Zoom, out of the He looks like he's straight out of the womb, and he went straight to the hairdressers so he could get this broccoli haircut put on, immediately given a position within Elon Musk's DOGE department. It's wonderful. It's honestly wonderful. And again, the youth is something that people do not like about this. They do not like that these people are young. They do not like that these people are men. But this is actually kind of going in a bit of the American tradition. People have pointed out the founding fathers in 1776 were really, really young, a lot of them. Obviously, you have some outliers like Thomas Paine, who was 38 years old, but just a reminder, Thomas Paine was basically a proto-communist and the worst of the founding fathers. But Alexander Hamilton, 21 years old at the time, James Madison, 25, James Monroe. America's tradition has been based around the energies of youthful, idealistic men. And generally speaking, it's the older these people get, the more cynical they become. That's when they're more likely to become part of the swamp. They've already got all of these experience and baggage that means that they're easier to control. Some 19-year-old, yeah, he's got an account online called Big Balls. Okay, what else are you going to hold against him? Well, his only real job has been a few months at Neuralink and camp counselor or camp assistant at some summer camp somewhere. Okay, that's great. That's really good, actually, because it means that nobody's bought him off yet. As far as we can tell, it'd be pretty shocking if some 19-year-old had already been compromised to the extent that most of the deep state and most of the swamp already has been compromised. So I see this as a pure positive for us. And one of the other things that's funny about it is because he is called Big Balls, and I can only assume that this is a factual statement, when people have been reporting on it, like CNN has, right, they've got to talk about the big balls. Big balls out on CNN. The big balls emerge in this clip right here.
Yes, so this is a 19-year-old high school graduate who has used the unfortunate nickname Big Balls online, so that would be one way that we could refer to him. He is now working at Musk's behest inside DOGE, and we looked into his background, and so we found several notable things, Aaron, one of which is that this individual has founded multiple companies, including one with another unfortunate name, Tesla.Sexy LLC, which he established in 2021. He would have been around 16 years old. Now, this LLC controls dozens of web domains. Yes, so this is a...
Sounds like an enterprising young man. And of course, as you can expect from left-wing media, CNN there displaying the seething of two women over big balls. Moving on, one of the other excellent things that came of this is that one of the other men, Gavin Kleger, or Kleger, I don't know how to pronounce his name, after this doxing article came out, because this Wired one was the first one to come out, he decided to make a little bit of money off it and see how far he could push things, because what he did, he's got a Substack, right? And he decided to write an article for it called Why Doge? And his Substack, it was a paywalled article. His Substack has a subscription price of $1,000 per month, or you can pay $10,000 for the full year. That's a $2,000 discount if you want to make sure that you're always up to date with what Gavin's thoughts are. Now, if you paid this and then went to the post, you would find that it looks like this. It's empty. It's empty. So anybody who actually was an investigative reporter, who maybe used his own personal or company money to pay for this so that he could get an explanation, because all of the Doge 6, as some are calling them now, are refusing comment to the media, which is the right decision to make. That's always the right choice. The media are hostile to you. They are your enemies. You should not speak to them because they will only ever try to twist your words. And if you do speak to them and they give you a glowing positive write-up, that makes me very suspicious of you. So he decided to troll them instead. They were after some comment. They were after an explanation. Well, too bad. You just spent $1,000 and you gave it directly to me. Thank you very much. But, as always, there has to be a but with these things, because I am not just going to fawn over these developments without any criticism. There is always a problem that comes off the back of this, which is that the media that is hostile to you and hates you has already taken a chunk of flesh from Doge and shown that they can have some kind of influence over it, because the Wall Street Journal, in a paywalled article, so I'm using this free one from The Hill that was reporting it, was able to dig up some dirt on one of these young Doge employees who's 25 years old. If I double check here, his name was Marco Eles. They were able to dig up some information from a Twitter account or social media posts where he was being racist. And what this was that he was complaining about H-1B visas potentially going to Indians, and the fact that he would not be eager to marry outside of his own race and ethnicity. Now, feel about that however you want. His job is not to play nice on social media or have the best optics. His job as part of DOGE was to cut back on US waste in the government. And the fact of the matter is, if you do this, if you fire these people after hostile journalists find random posts that they've made that may or may not have been jokes, you don't know, because all you're getting from this is the writing of Wall Street journalists. You are showing that they still have power over you. I thought the whole point of winning was that you don't have to worry about being tone policed. You don't have to worry about being called racist anymore because Patriots in control. So I would say that this was a terrible decision, and it just shows the media that they can still exercise power over you using the same tactics that the left have for years. Whatever this guy believes in his own personal life should not matter to the job that he has been given. So yes, I think DOGE is doing some very interesting stuff at the moment. I think it's very entertaining that they have a guy called Big Balls on the team, and more power to him. But if you allow for the media to still hold this power over you, they will use it in any way that they can to stop you, which is the exact opposite of what we should be doing now that we have supposedly won. So we should not be resting on our laurels, and if we have really won, we should let them know they can't do the same tactics that have been destroying people's lives for years.